All right, hi everybody. So this is page or video one for the first page for lesson 1.6. I'll follow closely with the second video shortly. So one of the things about today is we're talking about relations, and when relations is we're talking about how you study the different representations of a graph and kind of how we express what a relation is in terms of relating the data from the domain to the range. It's a fairly simple uh, lesson. What you guys need to understand, and this is the beginning really for me in teaching you guys and hammering it through you what domain and what range is. And then we'll go from there. So there's a lot of vocabulary with this: coordinate system, plane, x and y graphs, origin. We'll talk a little bit about that. Mainly, we're going to be talking about relation, what a mapping, but domain and range, independent and dependent variable are. All right, so first off, as we go through, this is what would be representations of different relations. Okay, so we have first over here on the left are ordered pairs, and then followed closely by what a table is. So when I ask you what is ordered pairs, you'd be able to identify it's these. A table is always set up with X and Y. A graph, simple enough, you guys are doing it. But the one you may not have done a lot of is mapping. So out of all of these, mapping is the most peculiar because ordered pair, table, and graph will all have the same number of points. But mapping will actually have maybe a different domain or different range depending on the number because the number only shows up one time. And we'll talk about that as we go forward. And I'll kind of show you actually with this first example. So we're going to express the following set of ordered pairs as a table, a graph, a mapping, and then followed by determining the domain and range of the relation. Okay, so it's very important. First thing we're going to start off with is a table. So the ordered pair is already given to us, so I'm not doing that, but we'll do a table. Okay, so got a nice little setup here. Yeehaw, like that. Okay, so what we want to do is label this X and Y, right? So what you do is pretty simple, pretty simple and self-explanatory. Is you go your ordered pair and you tell me what are your X's. So it's 4, -2. My next one is a 2, and my last one is a 0, right? And then you do the Y's right along with them. So it'd be 4, 3, -2, -1, 2, -4, and 0, -4. Just like that. Simple, right? Now you graph them, right? So over 4 up 3, over -2 down -1. You guys should know how to graph. Hopefully, if you struggle with this part, 2, -4, please let me know that you don't know that this is the x, so this would be 0, so that means we're not moving off the x, and -4, there are points. Okay, the last thing here is what's called a mapping. Now, the mapping begins with what's called the domain, which you guys should know, and the range. Okay, the domain is the x's, and the range are the y's. Now, if you're looking here, and then it's got some type of, it's like a weird box set up, and I'm not the world's greatest drawer at times. I don't know if that's the right word to use, but it is what it is. Okay, so now we're going to do domain, right? So we have to look at the domain over here, and we can use the x value here. We can use these, and you only write the number one time. Okay, so what I mean by that would be 4, -2, 2, and 0. Those are all unique numbers. Now you go to the range. The range is a 3. It is a -1, but it's -4 twice, but you only write that one time because what is our range? Our range, vertically speaking, are the y's, right? The top is 3. As you go down, there's a dot at -1, and as you go down, the final dot is at -4. That is your range vertically. Domain is going left to right, right? So that's where I'm going to make sure you guys get these down. Now, a mapping consists of one last little piece, which is connecting the line. So we know that this point here is 4, 3. We know this would be -2. Whoops. Sorry, my board flipped off of it. It'd be -2, -1. And then the last domain would be 2, -4. And it's also 0, -4. Okay, so what's unique about this and what is a relation is how the x's and the y's relate to each other. Okay, you guys need to understand where how they relate to each other and what the points and everything mean. All right, what I want you guys to do is go ahead and do this ordered pair, and then we'll go from there. All right, so give me your x and y. If you guys want to set up a simple t chart like this, it'd be x, it'd be y like that. And then as you go through, you would go 4, -3, 3, 2, -4, 1, and 0, -3, just like that, right? And then as you plot your points out, you go 4 over, -3 down, 3 over, 2 up, -4, 1 up, and then 0, -3, right? So you're not moving, there's your points. And then your last thing is your domain and your range for our mapping, right? So our mapping is going to be a little square box, or it's not a square, it's like it's supposed to be an oval, but like I said, I'm straight trash at drawing, so go from there. All right, so now you do the numbers as you see them. So there's a 1, 4, change the color. There's 1, 3, there's 1, -4, and there's 1, 0. Those are all unique numbers. Now you do the range, -3, there's a 2, there's a 1 that is unique, and -3 again, but you only write down the unique numbers, right? So now you do your mapping part where you map the domain to each range. So it's 4, -3, just like that. Then it's 3, 2, -4, 1. And then the last one is, and I'll change the color just so you guys can see it better. Let's go with a green. It's 0 to -3, right? So that is how you do a mapping. So make sure you guys understand we're trying to relate x's to the y's. It's very important, especially as we move forward, because we're going to be dealing a lot with equations and other areas like this. Okay, now we have some vocabulary that we got to talk about. And in this vocabulary, ladies and gentlemen, it's a simple process, but it needs to make sure, I need to make sure you guys understand. In a relation, the value of a variable that determines the output is called independent variable. And that was the wrong spelling. I'm like, wait a second, there's no 1P. Independent variable. The variable with a value that is dependent on the independent is called, what do you think? Dependent. All right, the blank domain contains values of the independent. And I forgot, this is the domain. I forgot to change these notes. Hopefully I'll change it. It's the domain contains values of the independent, and the range is the dependent. Okay, so domain, left to right, is independent. Tell me one thing that is independent that you cannot control usually. That would be time. As much as I'd like to, you guys think you can't control the temperature outside. Those types of things. And we'll talk about that because here's where I want you to identify what they are, right? So in warm climates, the average amount of electricity used rises as the daily average temperature rises and then falls as the temperature falls. Identify the independent. So the independent variable would be your daily average temperature, right? That's something you can't control. And if we were to plot it out, we would plot out a temperature course. And you'll see that when also another thing you can't control is time. So when you're looking at something, you guys got to understand what is it that you can't control. You can't control the temperature. You can control the thermostat inside your house. That's different. But you can't control the outside daily temperature, right? And then the dependent would be here, the amount of electricity. So every year, I struggle spelling dependent for some reason. The amount of electricity is the dependent variable, right? Because if the temperature goes up outside, just like here in Arizona, we crank our ACs up, and then that's our electricity goes up. All right, next one here, the other one, the amount of calories you burn increases as the number of minutes that you walk increases. Which one's the independent? Well, ladies and gentlemen, the number of minutes that you walk is what? Independent. And the number of calories you burn is dependent. Okay, it's not, you're not going to burn a bunch of calories if you don't walk. Okay, you've got to go walk and then you start burning calories. When I was an accountant, I sat down all day and I gained 30 pounds. We had started a health initiative where we raised our desks. When we raised our desks, I actually got to stand up more and I burned more calories. Okay, it's not, you don't all of a sudden magically burn calories and then you're walking. No, no, it's because you walk, you burn calories. One is dependent upon the other. All right, identify the next two with these as well. All right, air pressure inside your tires, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, this would be, once again, temperature is independent and air pressure is dependent. Okay, the amount of rain decreases, so does the water level of the river. So, what is the independent? It is the amount of rain is independent. Doesn't rain, the water level goes down. If it rains a ton, the water level goes up. Difference. Okay, understand the difference between the two, especially as you move forward tomorrow. All right, watch another. That was the end of the first page. We'll go on to the second page in a second, so start the next video whenever you want to.